sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So if man is God's greatest creation, then everything after that is going to have some kind of semblance or representation or attributes of his greatest creation.
Yes, sir.
So when you look at the structure of the family, it too has a head. It too has an arm. It too has legs. It has these different components that are supposed to make up the whole, where they all come together to meet one overall objective, so that all the different components can benefit. See? But everybody has to do their part.
Yes,
and you
sir.
can't do your part if you don't know your part.
That's right.
And that's the problem with you black man and black woman. We don't know who we are.
That's right.
So God came, traveled 9,000 miles to find one and put his mind in that one. Helped him clean himself up, because, you know, if the body is the temple, God can't dwell in a filthy temple, right, family?
That's right. That's right.
So we have to clean ourselves up. That's the first thing we have to do. And you have to start that cleanup process by being honest and acknowledging you need a shower.
That's right.
You need to take a bath.
Yes, sir.
See? We just want to be honest with ourselves here. We're talking about refuge and Allah. In the first part of refuge, I broke down the definition, the word refuge, taken from the Latin refugium, or the French refugier, shelter or protection from danger or distress, a hiding place. How many of us can say we either are or have been under some kind of stress, duress, or distress? Be honest. Are you stressing right? Is there something that's on your mind that you're stressing and you're worried about right now?
Come on.
Maybe you can't pay your bills. Maybe you don't have a place to lay your head. Maybe you're going through it with your significant other. You know, maybe you at the job things ain't right. Maybe you don't have a job. You understand what I'm saying?
Come on, brother. Come
I
on.
want us I say this because I want us to get in tune with and get in touch with our condition, and you gotta wallow in it, family. Listen, when Allah first blessed me to meet the most honorable Elijah Muhammad through message to the black man from another individual who was reading it to me, you know, and I heard him where he said, we got to stop eating pork because it's no good. Yeah, man, I love a BLT, pork chop smothered. You understand what I'm saying? And I struggled with it. I was going around, assalamu alaikum, hey, Dave, let me get a pizza with pepperoni on. You know, I was struggling, see? Because we're creatures of habit. You know,
Yes,
we're
sir.
habitual creatures. You understand? And the biggest thing is, I did not know. I never heard someone come and tell me that the pork is part rat, part cat, part dog, and I'm eating a giant rat every time I indulge in some pork product or some pork byproduct.
Yes, sir.
You know, all I knew was this is delicious. This is, you know what I mean? So I struggled with giving that up. And I say that to say it wasn't until one day the young lady that I was with, you know, had cooked me this beautiful meal, you know, macaroni and cheese, cream corn, hot buttered biscuits, and a smothered pork chop with onions, and you know, I've been going through my struggle back and forth with the pork. And so what happened was she brought that to me, and I smelled it, and it just made me sick. It made me nauseous.
Yes, sir.
But I had to really engross myself in that struggle, the back and forth, the, you know, trying to quit, the going some time quitting, and then sneaking, and then lying to people that I wasn't, you know what I mean? I was dealing with that.
Yes, sir.
It wasn't until the stench of the pork began to become an aberration to me, and I was
Yes,
like, oh
sir.
no,
Yes,
I got to
sir.
step back
Yes,
from
sir.
that. That's making me sick.
Go ahead, bro.
You know, I hope, you know, there's different degrees of believers. You know, I hope one day to strive to become the hear and obey believers. But family, we know how we are. We know we dealing with Negroes, niggas, and colored folk.
Right.
We are the most hard-headed, stiff-necked, rebellious people on the planet.
That's what we are.
See? So we don't as followers of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad through his student, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, when we are inviting you out, when we're encouraging you to read a Final Call newspaper, or wanting you to tune in to NOI.org to hear the minister or one of the minister's representatives, we're not expecting you to come here and overnight, you know, become some holified, religified, you know what I mean, spiritual Quran or Bible thumper.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not what this is about, family.
That's right. That's right.
What this is about is being honest with ourselves and acknowledging that we are under duress, that we are dealing with stress, that we are meeting 100% dissatisfaction with our condition. See? We have to be honest with ourselves. What do you want?
Broncos play.
See? If you really want to take yourself out of the condition that you're in, the first thing you have to do is acknowledge that you're in that condition.
Yes, sir.
And then you have to come to grips that it's an unfavorable condition, and now it's starting to cause you discomfort, see, that ultimately will lead to destruction because it's a disease. You being totally dissed, black man and black woman, but you dissing yourself. So now you find yourself disconnected with God. It's not that God is angry with us, that he doesn't love us. Quite the contrary. We are doing ourselves the biggest disservice. You really need to go back and listen and study for the believers' separation of death as the Holy Day of Atonement, Million Man March 22nd anniversary lecture that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave. For those of you who didn't get to hear it, you need to go back and just listen. I guarantee you that when you hear this man, you're not going to be the same after leaving. Right. Now you can get up and lie to yourself, you know, because you know how we are. We're going to have to be, some of us is going to have to be whooped out of that condition and whipped.
Yes, sir.
See, those are two different kind of whips, you know what I mean? You got WHUP, then you got WHIP. One of them has or connotes a punitive attribute to it. The other one is a representation of the heat, the friction that's needed to forge you into what God intended you to be based on what he put in you.
Yes, sir.
You ever known God to be homeless?
No, sir.
You ever known God to not be able to pay his bills?
No, sir.
You ever known God to be riddled with divorce?
Go ahead. No, sir.
Well, how are you if you're the original man and the original woman and you were created in his image and after his likeness, and he says he's the one true God? There is no such condition on the planet that exists within or without the earth, in the universe, black man and black woman, that you don't already have in you to solve.
That's right.
But you got to start with truth. That's what you have to submit yourself to.
Yes, sir.
You got to be honest with yourself that you don't have the answers. Brother Gerald talked about this.
Go ahead, sir.
So now we're talking about a crossroads, see? We're talking about the valley of decision, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan calls it, see? Because he is the last mourner. What makes him the last mourner? Well, because if he's a mercy, and we're in a grace period, and that grace period started in 1914.
Go ahead.
80 years from that would make it close to 1994 or 1995, which was the Million Man March, which is in history as the biggest or greatest march ever pulled off in the world, the greatest gathering of any people.
That's right.
Less known black people, the most hard-headed, most rebellious. What time are you in, black man and black woman? You are in the valley of decision.
Valley of decision. Go ahead, sir.
See? So now I got to start looking at you. I don't deal with the white man on that level that I used to before when I was immature, when I was riddled with anger and you know, discontent as a result of how I grew up and first hearing or first experiencing racism or discrimination, because the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad gives us an understanding of the nature of this individual.
That's right.
See? So you have all different types of snakes. You have garden snakes, you have cobras, you know, you have rattlers, you have pythons. Some of them are poisonous, some of them are not.
Right.
Some of their venom is fatal, some are not.
That's right.
But one thing they all have in common, they are snakes.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
They slither on the ground,
Go ahead.
they sneak up, they have double forked tongues.
Yes, sir.
See? So now I know that I have a better knowledge and understanding of the nature of the snake. Now I can, when I come across them, I can identify which one is which.
Yes, sir.
And I've been armed with the proper information on how to deal accordingly, depending on what my objective is. So some of them we can coexist. To you be your way, to me be my way. You know. Some of them I got to take out because it represents an enemy. It represents itself as an enemy to my cause. Yes, see, we all, Allah has given all of us natural enemies, natural opposition. He gave himself an op. Again, go back and study what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught on last week. He said God made the devil.
That's right.
Are we wise enough to charge God? No, what we need to be doing is seeking refuge in God. But you can't get shelter. You can't get help. You can't get aid if you don't get in tune with the author of the help, with the author of the shelter, with the author of the aid. You're doing yourself a disservice,
Yes,
brothers
sir.
and sisters, because we're thinking that our knowledge is sufficient. But we have to challenge that, because if we're still disgrown, if we're still 100% dissatisfaction, if we're still angry, if we're still self-medicating, you understand what I'm talking about? We're not being honest with our situation. We're not being honest with the fact that we don't have the answers, as it were, to solve the current condition. It's in you, like brother talked about the Holy Quran being in the Prophet Muhammad. It was already in him.
Right.
But some things had to happen without him to bring that, to force that out. See? So now, when we're talking about refuge, are we in a position that we can withstand God's whooping as a result of our rebelliousness?
Go ahead, brother.
I want you to look at yourselves. Because if you want what you see others having, you know, you want a nice home, you want cars, you want to have a consistent job and means of income, pardon me. You want a beautiful wife, a strong husband, you know, you want these things. What are you doing to bring those to fruition?
Yes, sir.
And a bigger question is, what are you doing that is keeping those things from you?
Yes, sir.
See? I have 5 sisters, you know, and they'd get together and they'd talk, and this kind of man, I want this kind of husband, and I want to, and he got to do this, and they had all these qualifications.
Right.
Yes, we do.
All these standards,
Right. Yes, sir.
which is good.
Yes, sir.
You know, you should want the highest for yourself. That's natural when you black man and black woman.
That's right.
But, you know, as I was eavesdropping, when they had their little get-togethers, I never really heard them put a lot of effort and time into what they were going to do to qualify themselves for what it is they said they wanted.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
That's right.
Same thing with the brothers. When I was, and you don't know this, I was locked up for 20 years straight. 20 years straight, no break.
Yeah.
And it was there in a 24-hour lockdown facility. And I'll share this story every time, because
Yeah, you
when I'm
do.
standing before guests and new believers who have not heard my story, I'm just giving my testimony. I don't like to feel like I'm giving you some kind of lecture, because God is working with me as I'm up here standing before you just as a vessel, family.
That's right.
That's right. Come
There's
on,
things
brother.
up here that's not in these notes. I didn't script it.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Yes, sir.
See? So when I was incarcerated, you know, I would, you know, brothers would get together, especially the ones that were going to be getting out, you know what I mean? And they would talk about, well, man, the girls, if they out there, man, and they be on us, brothers, we get out of prison, man. And, you know, I had my list too. Yeah, she can't have no children. She's got, well, let me stop right there. An interesting thing would happen to me every time I would get together with cats who had already been out before me, and they would be like, you know, we start talking about this, getting a wife and getting with some females and how they gonna be coming at you. And I was like, well, man, I'm looking for something specific. First thing, she can't have no children. They be like, oh, brother, that don't exist. That's like seeing an alien. That's a UFO. So that does not happen. Brother. You ain't gonna get that. I said, what? I said, man, y'all looking in the wrong place. I said, y'all looking in the grocery stores and the club. I might go to the church. No, brother, even there. That's a dinosaur. You ain't gonna see that, brother.
That's right.
So, you know, I had these expectations. You know, she had to have this, she can't have this, she got to do this, she got to be on this, and you understand what I'm saying? I had to stop myself. I had to pause. You know, first thing I had to come in tune with was the fact that I have not known myself. You know, I have to be patient with myself,
Yes, sir. Go
because
ahead.
as I make this transition out into the real world, you understand what I'm saying, and try to get reacclimated to society.
Yes, sir.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm not just looking for any old kind of woman.
That's right.
Because as a result of what I caused myself before coming into this condition, I'm gonna need something different than what I settled for before. Because she possibly was an aid and abetting to helping me get into this situation and condition, because she didn't know herself. See? So I have to start putting these standards on myself first, because, you know, you attract kind of what you are.
That's right. Yes,
See?
sir.
So if you out in the club, you know, you wearing tight-fitting, loosely, you wear these tight-fitting clothes that, you know, give off the impression that you loose and you easy and, you know what I mean? What kind of man do you think you gonna get? Black woman?
That's right.
Black man, you walking around sagging and you got a blunt in your hand and you cooler than, you know, you cooler than winter itself. And, you know, you put more focus on your outfit and your car and your bling bling. What kind of woman you think you gonna attract, black man?
That's right.
You need to find a woman who's in tune with God.
Yes, sir.
Because she's the second self, so says the most honorable Elijah Muhammad,
Yes, sir.
of God.
Yes, sir.
That way she's going to challenge you to aspire to reflect God. See? If you're going to get with her because of how she's shaped and her voluptuousness and, you know what I mean, the fact that she don't have that many children or these silly things that we use to get together with one another and totally abuse one another. Because we don't have a thorough knowledge of self and we don't have a thorough knowledge of God. And further, we don't have a thorough knowledge of the enemy who
right.
plays and preys on our ignorance of those three.
Yes, sir. That's right.
See?
Yes, sir.
So he's been destroying the black family, so it's no wonder you find yourself in the condition that you're in. Usually when a black woman gets with a black man or a brother, the first man that's in her life is the father. So if he has abused her, if he has neglected her, if he has abandoned her, if he has molested her, if he's done anything to break her heart, guess who won't have to carry that burden?
Yeah, go ahead,
But
son.
I had to look at myself too. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that 75% of the work is with the black woman.
That's right.
He teaches that a nation can rise no higher than it elevates its woman.
That's right.
That's right.
He teaches that the black woman is not only the mother of civilization, but again, the second self to God.
That's right.
So she's the womb man.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
See? I had to look at myself. I grew up with 5 sisters. I grew up with a grandmother who was hard because of the things that she experienced growing up. And then I had a mother who did the best that she could. So when you start trying to get in tune and get in touch with, how did you get in this condition? How is it that you can't get a job and keep a job? How is it that you can't get into a relationship and stay in that relationship? Why is the divorce rate amongst us so high? We're not incorporating God into our daily travail. On you all trying to destroy you. You seen some of these TV shows? Love and Hip Hop?
Yes, sir.
Basketball Wives?
Yes, sir.
The Housewives of Whoop de Woo?
That's right.
Have you ever just watched these shows and studied what they're doing in the imagery of our people that goes all the way back to when, even before television, when they were doing radio and they was doing the Sambo and the different shows that they had making a buffoon out of us. We have to understand how we have been and still are under attack. And I'm going to tell you, family, it's not just from one angle. If the devil promised God, he's going up and down, to and fro, back and forth, seeking whom he may devour,
Yes, sir.
he's going to attack you from all sides. See? But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said God gave him permission to do so.
Yes, sir.
What kind of God is that? Now, mind you, we talking about refuge. You talking about, I'm encouraging you to go seek refuge in a God that made an enemy
Go
for you,
ahead.
that has you in the current condition that you're in. Oh, that's kind of... But you don't know God. And you don't know yourself. There's something in you that you have to go through what God intended for you to go through so you can know yourself. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught us last week, don't you want a perfect knowledge of God and a perfect knowledge of yourself?
Yes, sir.
Remember we was talking about the manual, the instructions manual. You know, go get one of these fine cars. You know, they're making these Teslas now and they're becoming prevalent, you know what I mean? But these are all computerized. There's no engines in those cars. It's just like a model car. Try to go jump in one of those cars and think you finna make it do anything and you don't have the proper instructions. It's a new kind of car.
Yes, sir.
See? You are a new kind of people, black man and black woman.
That's right.
Even though you are descendants from Africa, you're not just from Africa. You're in the Caribbeans, you're in the West Indies, Hell, you were even over in Europe.
That's right.
Somebody had to put them devils over there where they at.
Yes, sir.
That's right. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
See? So you are a people who have never been a people. And because you have been made into the current people that you are,
Yes, sir.
you're going to have something that deals and addresses directly with your current condition. You're a zombie. We are zombies. I was dead when I was in prison.
Yes, sir.
I was dead before I went there because something was in me that caused me to create the condition for myself. I want to tell you just a little bit about my story, other than growing up, you know, the way I grew up, that helped shape my perception, that helped shape my ideologies and fueled my decisions and choices that ultimately became my actions. That's how powerful you are, black man and black woman. You have in you the ability to create your condition. But look at this. If you have in you the ability to create your condition, don't you think that you have also within you the ability to uncreate it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Brother Herman Muhammad the week before last, his lecture topic was From Niggas to Gods. Build and destroy.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
You ever been in the midst of a house being built? You ever had a popsicle house you built, a card house you built? You ever built a toy model car? Have you ever put anything together that takes time, that takes meticulous focus, that takes patience? Have you ever destroyed something? That's rhetorical. That's rhetorical. Because if the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan his topic was separation or death, how many deaths have you died already, black man and black woman? Well, you have a spiritual self,
Go ahead.
you have a mental self, you have a psychological self, you have an intellectual self, you have a social self, you have a political self, there's an economic, I could go on. See? So if you've ever been watching TV, you know we're coming up on Halloween and my
Yes,
birthday
sir.
is
Go
October
ahead.
30th. And you know, I know our lives moving in some signs, but I always used to hate my birthday being so close to this holiday because to me, the holiday is just silly, man. I like how I used to practice it. I would tell my mom, I don't want no costume. I don't got time for. All I'm doing is going to beg people for their stuff.
Yeah.
I don't need no costume to do that. Hey man, you got some candy? Y'all do that all the time. You run out of sugar. You go right next door. Can I borrow some sugar? I don't need no costume to do that.
Yes, sir.
You understand? But when we take a look at these holidays that they have us practicing and worshiping and engaging in, you know, we have to ask ourselves, you know, what are we really doing? What are we really representing? Now look at this holiday or holiday, if you will. So you want me to go out and dress up like somebody other than I am and go door to door and knock and beg people for their possessions.
Yeah.
Right.
And most times you want me to dress up as something ghoulish and fiendish, a monster.
Yes, sir.
I don't need to dress up to be that. I've been that.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Right.
See? I'm just, that's exactly right, sister. I'm just asking us to get in tune with our actions. Man, I done destroyed all kind of stuff. Relationships, families, you know, people. I done victimized family.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to stand before you and act like, you know, I wasn't a monster when I was. I had to be some kind of monster to incur a 25-year sentence. And I want you to look at that beyond the level of who the devil or the enemy accuses us of being, because we already know there's no justice in their court. They're going to do everything they can to vilify you. I don't know if we've met or have experienced a man with a more clean rap sheet than Barack Obama.
Yeah, that's right.
But this devil Trump, he can't do nothing without mentioning Obama's name. Obama, man, get my name out your mouth, man.
Yeah.
Right, right.
That's, you know, on the street we call that dirty macking. You run up on a female, you know what I mean? You want to holler at her, you understand? But you got to assault her current boyfriend or her previous boyfriend to help her or to manipulate her into looking at you as something other than what you really are.
Right.
Man, get her on your own merit. Stop hating on me.
That's right.
See?
Yes, sir.
They vilify Barack Obama every chance they get.
Every chance.
So I'm just telling you that, black man and black woman, to show you I don't care how much you want to toe the line and kowtow to them, be a Christian and be a good worker in corporate America and all these things that they do to whitewash you. To them, you still black. To them, you still a representation of their demise if you ever wake up. So you are public enemy number one at all times.
Yes, sir. That's right.
So what are they doing? What are they doing to express to you that they are your open enemy and you theirs? They have engaged in warfare against you. It's all-out warfare. So they got a biological and a chemical warfare. This ain't the same weed we smoking today that we were smoking in Woodstock in the peace era. They putting a chop on it, family.
That's right.
See? And it's a serious chop because they have a specific objective with putting this out. Go study the prohibition. They did the same thing. They chose a couple of states. First they made it illegal, so you had a bunch of underground. You can't even go to the weed man now. He ain't gonna have what the dispensaries have.
That's right.
And if he do have it, you know what I mean, for him to just stay afloat, he gonna have to hit you in the head for the prices.
That's right.
So they went and they chose a couple of states, experimental states. Remember, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, to get to know yourself, you experiment on yourself. That's a wise individual. That's what a wise individual does. He studies and experiments. He's using different combustible chemicals and which one's working, trial and error. Boom, that blew up, I can't use that again. Ooh, oh, that one works. You know, but you've been experimenting too long, black man and black woman. You playing with ecstasy and shrooms and you know this hard liquor and all these different things that you use, man, to fill this void because you don't know the Most High. God is the Most High. So you running around trying to create a substitute high because you know the feeling that you get. You know, it's a good feeling. It makes you feel confident, makes you feel powerful. You know what I mean? Makes you feel you can take on the world and makes you happy. And only Allah can create the true feeling.
That's right. Yes, sir.
See? But you got to clean yourself out, black man and black woman. You got to clean yourself up. Sit down and have a conversation with Allah. Ask Him what it is you want, like Brother Gerald expressed to us. And confess to Him. Confess to Him the things that you have done.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother.
In this path of chasing, trying to find this elusive happiness. He understands it. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the moment that we come into the nation, Allah wipes away all of our sins, wipes them away clean, gives us a new slate. Why? Because someone made you.
That's right.
Someone made you who and what you are. That's unlike your nature.
Yes, sir.
So you could not, if it's just, and Allah is the most just, God is the most just, you could not be accurately judged for your crimes or offenses before you had a thorough knowledge of yourself, of God, and your enemy.
That's right. Yes, sir.
See, when you become aware, then you should start making decisions that are more conscious oriented, that are more in lines with, remember we talked about that divine purpose and that personal purpose? We want to start learning how to make decisions that are in accordance with that divine purpose, because that's what's going to guarantee ultimate success.
Yes, sir.
So if we're wondering why we're not successful right now, it's because we're rebellious. It's really simple. Mathematics is Islam, and Islam is mathematics. You can prove it in no matter of time, right?
That's right.
That's right.
2 + 2 is 4. You've been a devil.
Go
I
ahead,
was a
brother.
devil.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That's
See?
right.
So now, we want to talk about this refuge and how do we get out of this condition that we find ourselves in or that we have been in. And when we have been blessed with a knowledge, a wisdom, and an understanding, like what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has and is giving to us
Yes, sir.
through his supreme servant, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and you still can't find,
Go ahead.
you still can't find what you're looking for. What are you looking for? I'm going to tell you what God said He wants for you. Dedication to my people, the so-called American Negro. Freedom, justice, equality, happiness, peace of mind, contentment, money, good homes, good jobs, decent homes, plural. All these can be yours if you accept your God, Allah, now and return to His and your original religion, Islam. So he's telling you basically, because you don't know, black man, if that's what you're really after, then you have to line up what you've been doing, the choices you've been making, which are predicated or rooted in your thinking that you refuse to address honestly. See, we don't want to look at ourselves. But that's why I love the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. God worked with me. He locked me up. He put me in a 24-hour-a-day lockdown facility for 2 years.
Yes,
I had a
sir.
Holy Quran, I had a prayer rug, and I had a subscription to the Final Call newspaper.
Yes, sir. Go
And it
ahead.
sat on the desk for about 3 or 4 months when I was in there. Oh man, y'all wouldn't have wanted to see me, brother. Y'all wouldn't have wanted to see me. I don't even want to reveal some of the things that I was doing in there because I'm ashamed. Because of the condition that I was in. Because of my thinking. Because of my refusal to address my thinking on a level of honesty and truth.
Yes, sir. Right.
That's right.
So, you know, what happened to me was I was in a situation where now I was in a real prison.
Yes, sir.
You
Go
know,
ahead.
it's one thing to be incarcerated physically, but I'm talking about a real prison. Because if I'm already in prison, you understand what I'm saying? And I don't have enough sense to recognize that I've done a great disservice to myself that has put myself here on one level or another. There's something else going on. That means I'm not even in tune with the common sense that would help me look at my condition objectively and honestly. I need to address that prison because let's say that God had blessed me and I would not have been in there for 20 years and he allowed me to spend maybe 20 days or 20 months and I got out, but I had not addressed the condition, my mental condition. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I was subject to repeat
That's right.
and possibly on a level higher or more detriment than the condition I'd already created for myself.
Yes,
I didn't
sir.
want that.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to break the cycle. My dad was in prison.
Go ahead, brother.
See?
Yes, sir.
Somebody got to be the one to step up and say, look, no more. Again, I couldn't stress or emphasize enough how we need to go back and get what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught on last week because, and he says that he's going to give a press conference in D.C., so please, Brother Gerald, keep us abreast of when that happens.
Yes, sir.
It's important because if you go back and you study what he said, as I'm up here revealing to you and testifying to you, things keep coming to me that he said that recall who he is, man, who he is.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And what his mission is and how we must do it in accordance with God's plan, with Allah's plan. See, again, there's always two purposes. There's a divine purpose and then there's a personal purpose. And one purpose is rooted in the other purpose. See? One purpose supersedes the other purpose. Let's talk about this divine purpose.
Yes,
what
sir.
is your
Go ahead.
purpose? How are you justifying your existence on the earth? Why did God put you on the earth?
Good question.
And if you begin to really search yourself and ask why God put you on the earth, well, you're not going to be able to arrive at an accurate answer until you start getting acquainted with God.
That's right.
I mean, again, man, when we look at what we do as far as relationships and, you know what I mean, how we go after a man or how we go after a woman with the desire to have or be in a healthy relationship, you know, what we always often do is forego the relationship with God. And if God is the head, and we're talking about this process of creating a structure of a black family that's a body, right?
Right.
And
Yes,
God is
sir.
the head,
Go ahead.
and we ain't considering the relationship with God first. How many of us go into that when you meet a man and first you be like, what's your faith? What's your situation with God? How you and God? Y'all cool? We don't really do that.
No.
Not at all.
What you driving?
Brother.
How much you making? How many kids you got? These are the things that we predicate, our hooking up with the significant other upon. And that's why it don't last.
That's right.
It don't last because at some point in time, you understand what I'm saying? If there ever comes a time where your salary is in jeopardy because the job is downsizing, or they going out of business, or the CEO was,
Go ahead, brother.
extorting and,
Yes, sir.
and embezzling, that's going to have to, you know what I mean, you're going to have to find something else to lean on. If there ever comes a time where, you know what I mean, she had this voluptuous figure and she starts having babies and that her figure starts changing as a result, and you don't have love and patience for her to either help her or support her to get to her natural weight, you understand what I'm saying? But all man, I ain't, you understand what I'm saying? You need something within you that's rooted in God's love, an agape love.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Agape. Yeah.
A love that's going to help you endure, that's going to help you subject yourself to sufferance, that's going to help you subject yourself to adversity, and work with this woman, work with this black man to help him be what you say you want him to be.
Yes, sir.
See? But you got to start working on yourself first so you can qualify yourself to be deserving of something of that nature.
That's right.
See? We have to ask ourselves that, is that what we've been doing? So that's why we need to get in touch with God first and start establishing that relationship with him. Get acquainted with him. Ask him questions. The minister didn't say we couldn't ask God questions. He said, are we wise enough to charge God? And we are not. You know, that's a rhetorical question. We're not. Look at our condition, you know. So this plan that has been laid out in the Muslim program, what the Muslims want, point number 4, I have to read that because this is where we're at, separation of death.
Separation of death.
And I know that the minister said last week that you know it's going to upset the enemy because the enemy does not want to separate from you, because in our problem book he has made he's making slaves out of all that he can.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
See?
Yeah.
So he don't want you to go for self. He don't want you to be free. He don't want you to experience freedom, justice, and equality.
Right.
He wants you to be, at best, in a segregational type of situation. But segregation and separation is different.
Two different
That's
things.
right.
Yes,
See?
Sir.
You have to really study this enemy, and we're not going to be able to really grasp or get a hold on this individual if we don't accept that we don't have the curriculum of ourselves. We have to go to someone who's been given the curriculum that deals specifically with what we've been dealing with for 462 years, family.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
So I want to read to you quickly what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, has laid out for the devil and for the enemy and for us. On the back page, you'll find in every final call the Muslim program, what the Muslims want and what the Muslim believes. This explains anybody that ever has any questions about what the Nation of Islam believe, because listen, they accuse the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan of all kinds of things. He's reverse racist, he's anti-white, he's anti-Semitic, he's anti-gay. No, he just pro-you. He pro-black.
That's right.
He's pro-right. He's pro-truth.
That's right.
So the messenger says, we want our people in America whose parents or grandparents were descendants from slaves to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of their own, either on this continent or elsewhere. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to provide such land that the area must be fertile and minerally rich. Stop.
Yes, sir.
Now, anyone who's ever gone through a breakup or a divorce of any significant aspect where you're talking about the separation is going to be involving, you know, possession and rights to property, you know, it's the husband's job to be the maintainer and keeper of the woman, to be the provider, to be the protector, to be the teacher, to be the nurturer, to be the guide. See? So now if you have abused this woman in any kind of way, if you have been neglectful to her, if you have been verbally or physically abusive, if you have abused her in any kind of way, you've subjected her to trauma. See? And so as a result of that trauma,
yes, sir,
she's going to harbor some kind of bitterness, some kind of hostility.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's going to lead to insecurities.
Yes, sir.
And then she's not being the full, complete woman that she is. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad don't want us sending our woman off like that if we can't stay in marriage. He hates marriage, and Allah hates marriage.
No, hate
Or
divorce.
divorce, pardon me.
Sir.
So we hate divorce. See? But I'm talking about this because now we're dealing with separation. We have to divorce from our 462-year-old enemy. How must that be done? Well, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad lays out We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to provide such land and that that area must be fertile and minerally rich. So when you send your wife off, you're going to have to pay alimony, brother.
That's right.
Because see, if you were providing for her, or if you were entrusted with the job of providing for her, and I'm going to touch on how that is the case between the black and the white right now. If that's been your job, you can't send her off without the means to take care of herself until she's able to do that for herself. See?
That's right.
So he's acting in accordance with God's law of separation. Now you might say, well, I got my own business, I got a job, I ain't no welfare, the white man don't provide for me. Yeah, he provides for you. Because you have not went out into the earth and dug into the earth and pulled out its resources and created your own civilization like he's done and used you to do it.
That's right.
See? Right. So you have a ceiling in corporate America.
Wow.
Listen, I've been in business for myself for about 4 years now. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that business is war. Why did he
Yes,
say
sir.
that?
Go ahead.
Because you have a target on yourself. The fellow business owners in here, my sister Tanya, some of us know what it is, when you meet some of these racist, chauvinist, misogynistic white men who don't want to see black people doing for self.
Yeah, that's right.
See, and he's going to express to you who has the power.
That's right.
So the messenger wanted us to unify. Because two heads are better than one, because if you have an army, if you have a team, it's much more of a challenge to take you out. But if it's just one of us, and the devil said he's going to attack you from all sides, going up and down, to and fro, back and forth, seeking whom he may devour,
Yes,
how do you think you're going to have any real success and success rooted in longevity, lest you have a team?
Yes, sir.
So he said, we believe that our slave master is obligated to maintain and supply our needs in this separate territory for the next 20 to 25 years until we are able to produce and supply our own needs. So he's laying out to us what separation looks like. Now I want to show you how God is using Donald Trump to force separation. See, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, y'all don't stay in tune with him. Before Donald Trump was in office, he told us what our choice was.
Yes,
He
sir.
said choosing or voting for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump is like having the choice between Lucifer and Satan.
That's right.
One of them is going to be a slow, kind of seemingly painless death. Trip to hell. The other one, you're going to hell on a rocket ship.
Yeah, that's right. That's what he said.
Donald Trump's taking us to hell on a rocket ship, family.
That's
Yes,
right.
it is.
See,
Ain't going.
every day this man is in the news, and he's either doing something or saying something to disrupt the natural order and structure, not only of black people, but white people.
Yes,
Go
sir.
check the polls on the Republican Party and see what their favoritism of him is. They don't like that man. Every time he speaks and gets on Twitter, his White House advisor is like, oh my God, don't say that. But Allah has put him in there to destroy and disrupt and bring down the natural structure and status quo. See, the Caucasian likes to get up in front of you and make you believe that you have some hope in politics. You know what I mean? I see that they get these entertainers and these stars and athletes, go vote, just vote. And how can you say this one and you don't want to vote? They were talking about that in response to Colin Kaepernick taking a knee for the flag, saying that, he's a hypocrite because he don't go to the polls and vote. He's wise. He know that it don't matter who he vote for. It hasn't mattered in 462 years.
That's right.
Don't matter who the president is. Not in the black community, it don't. We still are under the jurisdiction of suffrage, oppression, depression, repression. It don't matter who we vote for. He was just wise enough to be like, look, I'm not dealing with that. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told us that these systems, these institutions, the justice system, the American educational system, the governmental system, the welfare system, the healthcare system, all of these systems are corrupt. They cannot be rejuvenated. They cannot be reformed. They have to be removed
That's right.
and replaced with a righteous institutional structure.
That's right.
How can something be implemented that's righteous lest it become directly from God, the God of righteousness? See? You have not been dealing with, you've been dealing with a God of sorts, but you have not been dealing with a God of righteousness. You've been dealing with the prince of darkness.
Yes, sir.
You've been dealing with the chief troublemaker.
That's right.
The number one peacebreaker.
Yes, sir.
See?
Universal Snoop.
The universal snooper. That's right,
Go
brother.
ahead.
Go ahead, brother.
I have a stigma, you know, because of what I was accused of in their American justice system. You know, I have a stigma, so I'm a convicted felon. Wherever I go, I got to do certain things. I got to let people know I'm in their community. These types of things. But you talking about we dealing with the number one murderer in the universe. There's a most wanted poster sign for you in the universe for being the number one murderer, the number one rapist, the number one thief.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You went to a country and stole a whole people, and then brought them over here and stole land from the people that were here.
That's
And then you
right.
want to tell me go back to Africa.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Come on, brother.
You done already been in Africa. You done already sucked up the resources in Africa. I can't go over there and not have to deal with you. See?
That's right.
So now we need a separate territory and state of our own. And don't act like it's something new. And I'm wrapping up here in just a minute, but go back and study Rosewood, Black Wall Street.
Yes, sir.
A time where
Yes,
the
sir.
segregation and the Jim Crowism in America was so ugly that it was forcing us to get our own bus system,
sir. Yes,
to get our own laundromats, to get our own banks, to have our own taxi and cab system.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And see, at that time, you got to understand too, black man and black woman, just like you have not been given a thorough knowledge of yourself, some of the enemy did not know who they were. So they thought, you know, it was okay to do that, but then they saw that we were thriving.
Yes,
We
sir.
started coming up, and that represented a threat to them. Why? Well, because they never brought you over here to be equal.
That's right.
See? So you have to understand that. You don't even have any resolve and redress in this U.S. Constitution. None of the forefathers were black.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
None of them were Native Americans. So why would they come up with something and say we the people and want me to stand up for a flag that, like Brother Gerald says, represents nothing but tyranny, oppression, and slavery for my people?
That's right.
That's right.
Yes,
See,
sir.
I don't subscribe to it. I don't watch the NFL. I don't like going into the grocery stores. I don't want to go into their banks. But I understand now that we're in a time now where God is using him to bring down his own structure, because believe it or not, family, even he is reaching 100% dissatisfaction with his own civilization.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
That's why Donald Trump is tearing up everything.
Yes, sir.
That's why they can't muzzle him.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
See,
sir.
he tired of not being able to be who his nature is.
Yeah.
And he tired of being around all you liars who, when y'all in the secret council, look at what happened with the NFL owners.
Tell him then.
When the preseason started, the ratings have been the lowest they've ever been.
Right. Yeah.
See,
Yes, they are.
and because that's their means of livelihood, they panicked.
Yes, sir.
You gotta watch this. You gotta watch this wicked scientist. He's a master at what he does. So they need to come up with something that's going to create interest. That's going to get the people back interested again in the NFL. And they already knew with the advent of or the release of the concussions and you know some of the things that have been happening and Colin Kaepernick protesting, people just started losing interest.
Yeah.
They need something, a big story. See what I'm saying? Just to get people watching again, and they'll do the rest. So they went to their crony. Look, Donald, we know right now you got the press. Man, you got the press under your locks. Everybody is hanging on what you gonna tweet next, what you gonna say next. We know if you say something, it's gonna create interest. Here's how I know. In his campaign, there's 32 NFL owners. Do you know that 28 of them supported and contributed to his campaign during his presidential candidate race?
Yes, sir.
What is that telling you? So now you want me to believe that the owners are locking arms with the players and they're standing against Donald Trump and... No,
Yes,
they
sir.
not.
Go ahead, brother.
They already had a meeting. Donald, we need something, man. What you got? This is what we gonna do. We gonna call their mom son of a bitches.
Yeah.
We gonna tell them that if they don't bow for the American flag, they should be fired. You know. But see, we're not understanding what we're looking at. It's a modern day Rome demonstration. Go back and watch Gladiator. That's what they used to do. They used to throw us in the pulpit. They made him white, but they used to throw us in the pulpit and have us fighting each other. And that's what they did in the slave days. They'd go get the strongest buck from one plantation. He'd bring his strongest buck. They'd have everybody, all the slave masters gather around, and then they bet.
Django.
See, they want to throw Mike Vick in prison for fighting dogs.
Yes, sir.
You understand what I'm saying? So you have to be mindful of this wicked scientist and what he's doing to keep us asleep, to keep us zombies. Because his method and means, again, is the destruction of the black family. Divide and conquer. Make them argue that they're light-skinned and they're dark-skinned. Make them argue and trip on the fact that their hair is coarse and their hair is curly. Even make them trip on the fact that they're slaves. And that's us. That's what we do even now to this day.
Yes, sir.
Right. That's us.
In this foolish competition with one another, when we all have the same enemy who's trying to stop each and every one of us from uniting and separating.
That's right. Yes,
See?
sir.
So it's separation of death, family. You're about to start seeing some things, and you've already seen some things with Las Vegas. You've seen some things with the hurricanes. You've seen some things with the earthquake. And Allah it's a fulfillment of prophecy. These things have to happen so we can see that this devil really does not care about you.
That's right.
I'm not really concerned about that. I'm concerned about how much you care about you.
Yeah, about yourself. Go ahead.
That's right.
See?
Yes, sir.
When will the things that are happening around you, whether it's in your family, whether it's in your community, whether it's abroad in society, start affecting you to the point that you say, you know what I've been doing is not working. I need something new, unless you really don't want that. Now we get there. That's a whole nother conundrum and can of worms that I'm not going to go into, but you need to take a look at that. What do you really want? Who are you? See?
Yes, sir.
So I want you to start paying attention to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We have been instructed, wherever we see him, look at him.
Yes, sir.
Whenever he speaks, listen to him.
Yes, sir.
Wherever he goes, we go.
Yes,
Wherever he says stay from, we do what?
Stay from.
Yes, sir.
So that's why we follow the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because he has been working diligently for the better part of 40 years to get us acquainted with God and the man of God on the scene, who is the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, whom he represents. And I'm going to tell you this, and I stand by this. I'm willing to die on this. If you're not listening, tuning in, or connected with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan directly or indirectly, you're not working with God. You're not representing God. You're not following God. Because it can't happen today saying that you represent God or you following God and you ain't a friend to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, or at least a listener.
Yes, sir.
Because there's nobody else that has the curriculum that he has. It's been tried already. The black church don't got it. Black Lives don't have it. Black Panther Party don't have it. But they don't have it, brother.
That's right.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
That's
right.
not to discredit them, but I'm talking about you dealing with something. You dealing with a man that brought it all. He brought it all. He addressed everything.
Yes, sir.
He addressed who your God is. He addressed the condition that you're in and who your enemy is and what time it is for him. He even brought your dietary laws that you see
sir.
these Europeans starting to follow now
Yes,
and
sir.
admit that he was telling the truth.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
See?
That's right.
So I want you to go get with brother, pick up these books. The Quran, that's just a representation of the Quran. It leaves no stone unturned. If you love the Bible, do it, because it's going to give you a better understanding of what's being said in the Bible. We don't know where we're at. We don't know we're in the book of Revelations. We don't understand what we're seeing.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
get with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He will acquaint you with God. He will acquaint you with himself. And he will acquaint you with the hour and the time, which will acquaint you with what you must do to get out of harm's way.
Yes.
With that, I leave you as I came, beautiful, beautiful family, in the universal greetings of Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
I just have a few questions. How many of you are visiting us for the first time? First time visit. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. So if you're visiting for the first, second, or third time, how many of you believe that what you heard is the truth and good for our people and that we absolutely need it? Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. It's always a beautiful thing to hear that because, again, you know, that's what we're going to need. We're going to need to be inclined with truth as a regimen to get out of this condition. Now, this next question, it always, or not always, but oftentimes has it brings with it the conundrum of our people thinking that we have to do something immediately. I want to address that a little bit, but this next question, if you are visiting for your first, second, third time, and you believe that what you heard is the truth and good for our people, how many of you are willing to take a stand today, join on to the Nation of Islam, and help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, help the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in getting this truth to our people that we absolutely, absolutely need?
Yes, sir.
Let me see a show of hands that are ready to join on and help get this truth. Praise be to Allah. Now I want to say this because this is important. I want to let you know, we're in an hour where whether we hold our hand up or not, it's just a beautiful thing that you all came out because, believe it or not,
yes, sir,
that's the first step to committing or agreeing to that question. You just don't know it yet. See, you all are Muslims and you just don't know. Muslim only means one who submits his will to do the will of God. You were born to submit to God.
That's right.
You just haven't done it because you have not been properly acquainted with God. You don't know who He is. But I'm standing here telling you as a testimony, I did 20 years in prison. I was out there bad. And it was nothing short of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad while I was in prison that helped me look at myself with an honest perspective and microscope and come out and take these steps to begin to change myself, to break the cycle of the destruction of the black family.
Yes, sir.
So I want you all to just keep coming. I want you all to come with an open heart and the beautiful spirit that you came with today. Know that this is your family. You are amongst family. Here we are striving to become business owners. We're striving to be married and stay married. We're striving to erect and construct the black family and re-implement it out into the communities so we can be the example of what black family and community and God looks like. Okay, family?
Yes,
so
sir.
Please keep coming
Yes,
out
sir.
so you can learn and hear more. Do you all have any questions out of anything that you heard? Okay, praise be to Allah. I want to again thank you all. I'm very humbled. I'd like to thank the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, our student Western Regional Minister, Student Minister Tony Muhammad, our student Western Regional Captain Halim Muhammad, our brother that's acting captain on this locale today, Brother Herman Muhammad, and our acting coordinator, Brother Afsar Muhammad, for allowing me to stand before you and just be a vessel and hopefully testify and share something with you that you can take and be inspired to go use to enhance the quality of your life and somebody else's life, family.
Yes,
Yes,
so
sir.
with that, I'm going to call up Brother Gerald, who opened us up. He has a few announcements for you, family. Just be patient. We're going to release you here in just a minute, Brother Gerald.
Yes, sir. All right, let's keep it going for Brother Aaron one more time. All praises be to Allah. Brothers and sisters, very good lesson. We are going to just have a few announcements, then we'll have prayer, then we'll be out. All right?
Yes, sir.
Praise Allah. Number one,